Hello and welcome to Connect to Love here on PRN-FM, where each week is an unscripted exploration into the many facets of love, oneness, and our connection to the human spirit. I'm Lisa LeRose, and I'm joined by my co-host, Michael J. Russ, who once was a friend I had not yet met. And in this story, there was a powerful wizard of vibrant living radio, Glenn Brooks, who used his magic of loving connection to bring Lisa and Michael together to share their wisdom. It was through the teachings of vibrant living that they learned to bring joy and meaning into other people's lives, but more importantly, they learned about creating connection. And although Lisa and Michael were from different parts of a very vast land, and over the years they each traveled unique paths, the radio wizard, Glenn, magically brought them back together. In time, Glenn traveled to another realm, leaving behind him the teachings that ignited the spark of connection, which brought Lisa and Michael together in this space, in this time, so that they could share the wisdom that they had learned along their journey. So today we are going to share our wisdom and explore a tiny word with enormous power, and that word is once, because once can be quite magical, as fairy tales begin with once upon a time, as did my tale of the origin of Michael and my connection. Once upon a time opens up possibility. It opens up imagination. It tells us something extraordinary can happen. But once can also become a place where we postpone our lives, because we've been taught that once is sort of like a destination. And I think ever since I was a child, and I'm sure, Michael, ever since you were a child, we have heard the stories, once upon a time. And that once can hold a lot of magic, but I think that it can also keep us stuck. And many of us have unconsciously wrote our life with, once I'm successful, once I'm loved, once I'm healed, once I'm ... You fill in the blanks. How many different times have we heard that once? Once I am ... So I asked Michael, I said, I think that it would be a lot of fun if we play in this magical realm of once. And I appreciate you entertaining my fairy tale, Michael, because I'm grateful for that wizard of the airwaves, Glenn Brooks, because we have an opportunity to really, truly share a lot of wisdom. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. It's a fun topic to explore.
Yes, it is definitely one that we are going to scratch the surface on unpacking during this episode. Once, wow, I can tell you that I have been there many times. many times. And whenever you are working, you set a goal for yourself, because back in the day, decades ago, it was all about you setting a goal and then breaking down that goal into the various segments and parts that you had to partake in and things you had to learn in order to get to that goal, right? And the issue with once you set a goal, especially if it's a big goal, the issue is as soon as you set the goal, you are not really, it's almost like you don't allow yourself to feel any joy or fun or happiness until that goal is achieved. Like, when I get there, once I get there, I'll be, the happiest person on the planet. And I can tell you, I've said that more than 100 times. Once I get that bonus at the end of the year, I'm working towards it now, and I'm almost there. It's December. Okay, I got that bonus. It's as if it's self-defeating. It's like you let the air out of the balloon and there's nothing left because you've met the goal. Now you don't know what to do. And because you've lined up all of your energy, all of your focus and attention, all of your direction towards that goal, all your resources, personal and otherwise, that you've lined up. You've sacrificed. You've worked late. You've worked hard. You've done whatever is necessary in order to get to that place. And it always is a hollow victory. It's always a hollow victory because you you live in a state of denial until you get there. And for me, when I was able to finally break free of that mindset, where when I started working in my own office, I got rid of all the goals. I got rid of them all. It's like, I don't want any goals. I'm not sitting down with somebody above me and we're talking about my goals. But there's still, millions, if not billions of people who have that. We're still in that situation. Their job involves achieving milestones and levels of success within their own profession, whether it's schooling or some kind of teamwork or a mission that needs to be accomplished, whatever it might be. And it's always, once you get there, you get this big letdown, because at some particular point you have this realization that I sacrificed everything to get here. I sacrificed my own happiness. I sacrificed being with my family. I sacrificed being with my loved one. I sacrificed everything, and now I'm here, and it really doesn't mean as much to me as I thought it would mean. That's always the thing that comes. I know it comes to me, and it's why when I play golf, I just let it unfold. I don't have a number that I'm looking to shoot, a number that I'm looking to score. I want to enjoy the ride. I want to enjoy the individual successes that I have following the process. Right? You can have a hole in one. Put a shot in the hole the first time from the tee. It's a big thing in golf for those of you who don't play it. But you can have a hole in one and still shoot the worst score of your life. Really, it is entirely possible, because a lot of it is just the stars all align for you at that moment, and that thing happens. It's the pinnacle in the game, and everybody lauds it, and everybody talks about whether they have or haven't had it. However, I've had 3 of them, and the last one I had, it was great, but it wasn't as good as the first one I had or the second. It was just the thing. I enjoyed it, and I pat myself on the back, but it was just one of many different efforts that that were part of the process. And the joy of not participating in the once I get there scenario, belief system, whatever you might want to call it, because it is a thing where you're indoctrinated to achieve milestones, and along with those milestones comes this once I get there. What am I going to, once I get there, I'm going to be the happiest person in the world. Well, you know what? Why aren't you the happiest person in the world right now? When I get there, when I find the love of my life, I'm going to be so satisfied. Well, why can't you be satisfied right now, loving yourself? Mm-hmm. These are the questions I started asking about myself 20 years ago. And so I just saw the big, carrot at the end of the stick that I was able to finally grab after 12 months as just another movement, just another stage in the process. However, I'm going to be happy. I told myself, I'm going to be happy right now. I'm going to enjoy this process unfolding. And that's just, is it a huge milestone? No, it's just another day, but another great day like I had today. And when I started thinking that way, everything changed for me. I get up in the morning, I'm a happy camper because I'm not chasing something. And that's kind of what we do. We're indoctrinated to chase this ring. And once we grab hold of that ring finally, if it ever happens, because for many it never does, because I think you described it perfectly. It's this endless loop. It's an endless loop. You're like a hamster on a wheel, chasing and chasing and chasing, but never actually having. And all you have to do is say, I have it now. If you want to get on the hamster wheel, that's fine, but just understand that you're not chasing anything. You're just getting a little exercise. That's all. It's not about how far you go. It's not about how good it feels to have achieved that thing. No, it's just, I like doing this. I like being a hamster on the wheel. And if you like it, you love it, it brings you joy, you have fun, you're excited about it, you're passionate about getting on that thing, you know what? Knock yourself out, because that's what it's about. It's about having fun doing what you're doing and being joyful, experiencing the joy and the fun and the love that you feel for yourself when you are moving in a direction that is producing the miracles that you know are there. Like the miracle's not when you get there, and once it happens, it's there. But science is built that way, math is built that way. It's all about achieving the problem. A school system is built that way. There's a whole indoctrination system that is set up for everyone. And I applaud the people that get off that hamster wheel, that don't fall into the system. They're seen as outcasts, of course, because you're not following the protocol that has been laid out for you. However, it's the whole tiny house movement here in the United States and around the world is a testament to people who've said, you know what, I'm going to enjoy today. I'm not going to go, get the mountain of thousands of dollars of debt. I'm not going to put myself in thousands of dollars of debt to get this degree for something that I may or may not, at the end of when I finally walk across the stage or get that diploma, I'm not going to kill myself to get there. And then what? I still have to move forward to use the information I've put into my head, right? It's just walking across the stage should be just one more step that you enjoy. But why didn't you enjoy the day before? The sun rose, the sun set, the weather was beautiful, trees were swaying in a light breeze, you felt the sun on your skin. People do that when they think about going to the beach. Oh, God, it's going to be so nice when I get to the beach. It's going to be so beautiful. We're on vacation. And the funniest thing to me when I travel, and I've done some traveling in the last 12 months, just hours and hours on planes. What's interesting to me is how people set them up for they set themselves up for the destination. And they're so focused on the destination that they stress out in the travel to get to the destination.
Right.
And I've turned that around. I said, you know what? I'm going to love getting to the airport, parking. I'm going to love going through security and do all those things. I love that. I'd love it. I'd do it with a smile. Say hi to everybody. Say hi to whoever it is that's doing security. How you doing today? What's up with you? You happy? And go all the way up and during waiting to get on the plane and while I'm on the plane, the people who service me, give them some joy, give them some light. I'm giving light all the way along. I'm just enjoying the whole thing. Put me on a plane for 15 to 20 hours. I'm good. I just enjoy doing what I'm doing. I figure out something I want to do, listen to a book or bring along some snacks and just chill out and make a party of it for 15 to 20 hours. Get some sleep, watch some movies that I haven't been able to watch. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that you can do instead of aligning with the perception that the process of traveling to the place that you want to be, the once I get there place, it can be just as joyful as being there. And the vacationers who are all tired out by the time they get there, tuckered out, because it's their own fault because they have aligned their perceptions so that the place is really the most important thing in their life instead of this moment. This moment. I know I've kind of gotten off on a little tangent here, but that's just one aspect of once I get there, the kind that I have experienced, I know, in my life, and just switched it around to just enjoy the process, the step-by-step process, and make that your success.
Right.
Be enough and just go do it. Have fun doing it.
I completely agree because I'm getting ready to go on a trip, and I can't tell you how many people have asked me, well, have you done this and have you done that? And I said, well, I will. I'm not interested in being overwhelmed. If I have to think of all these things, I know the things that I need to prepare for. And when I step on that plane and when I go through the process, just like you, I'm going to savor every moment, and I'm going to enjoy the quiet time and really allow myself to experience. And I'll be in that moment in time. And I think that a lot of times, once upon a time feels like that place in time. It's a placeholder that sometimes can keep us stuck. And as you were speaking, Michael, I thought of two things. One was my college boyfriend. We dated for 10 years, which was a very long time, and we met when I was in university and he was in community college. And I went through 4 years. He eventually went to university, and I graduated. And when he was the time for him to graduate, he said, well, once I get my master's degree, then I'll get a job. Well, no problem. Just continue working, doing what I was doing. And then he graduated from his master's degree, and he said, well, I really need a second master's degree. So once I get my second master's degree, then I'll be able to get a job. And then once that happened, he ended up saying, well, you know what, I just want to go travel in Europe and work overseas for a year because I have the rest of my life to start. And that's okay because that was where he wanted to be. But for me, I was ready to begin my adventure, and there were things that I wanted to do in my life. And I was already feeling good about where I was and who I was. I didn't need to become something else before I could fully live. And I bought a house when I was 25. He was mad about that because he was doing other things. And it was interesting. Later on, many years after we had separated, he did get back into my world, and he said, did you ever wonder why I never asked you to marry me? And I said, no, I didn't. It didn't even occur to me because I was on my own journey, and I was grateful for all of the experiences, even going to, when I bought my house, I had to figure things out, going to the hardware store and picking up a bag of cement and having the gentleman say, well, your husband's going to carry that in for you. I'm like, sure, no problem. You know how to do that? And I learned how to do so many things. I didn't wait for anybody. I learned how to, I guess it was more about empowering myself to achieve what I wanted to do and allowing him, my ex-boyfriend, to do what he wanted to do as well and not hold somebody back because of that. Well, once our paths joined, whatever. I mean, even with you and I, Michael, we met. You were on my show. I think I may have been on your show, and then we dissipated. And then Glenn Brooks brought us back on a show many years later. And then you invited me to be on your podcast, and I invited you to be part of a summit. And then our paths crossed for what we're doing now on Connect to Love, which to me is a really amazing gift. And I think back to the journey to the very first episode or show that I ever did. There was a lot that I was not prepared for. How am I going to talk for an hour and all of these different fears? But I didn't let it hold me back. And when I got invited to do my own show, as I'm sure you experienced, you didn't need to be seasoned. It was an experience that you were ready to embrace. And as you were speaking about golf, now I'm not a golfer, but all I could think of was if somebody were taking golf lessons and they were going to a driving range and they drove balls and drove balls and drove balls, and then they went to a putting green and then they just putted, but they never actually set foot on a golf course. They said, well, once I perfect my putt, then I'll be ready to go golfing. Or once I perfect my drive. And they never allow themselves to experience the joy of the terrain and being outside in nature and the fellowship that you develop and the camaraderie with other golfers. And like I said, I'm not a golfer, so you can share those insights. Yeah. But that's what I think of is it's that once that keeps us stuck. And we subconsciously have trained ourselves to believe that, well, once I'm perfect or this is perfect, then I can go to the next level, where in my world that I think we're always enough. We're always perfect. We're always exactly where we're meant to be. So
yeah, that's a wonderful wonderful statement, and it's so true that we are. It changes everything when we start. When we not start, but shift our thinking to include that we are where we're supposed to be. Talked about this a few shows ago of how when I started saying that to myself, when I felt like I was supposed to be somewhere else. And I wrote down all these statements that we say, I should, I need to, I want to. We say these things that actually talk about what we're intending to do in the future, what we believe we need to do in the future in order to accomplish something. And all it does is take us out of this moment that we're in where we actually are accomplishing something. And maybe it's not supposed to happen even when we think to ourselves, oh, I want to do this. Like I told you about this piece of wrought iron that I got from a neighbor. We were having one of these days where you put out all the stuff, the junk that you don't want, and the city comes and picks it up. Well, before the city even gets there, which was probably about 3 days, everybody who's everybody picks through everybody else's stuff. And people come into the neighborhood because they know what's going on. People come into the neighborhood looking for things, and because it's free. And a lot of times, if you don't want something, you just put it out on the curb and you just put free to get home, and it'll be gone by the end of the day. Somebody will come by and get it. But I was walking a little cobalt, a corgi, and I saw this wrought iron, these curls and other things, and I said, "Is that wrought iron?" I went over and I looked at this thing and I said, "Wow, that's beautiful. That is not going to the dump." I took it out from the middle of all this and looked at it, and it was heavy, it was sturdy. Someone who was incredibly gifted spent a lot of time putting this together, and it is so beautiful. A little rusted. It'd been outside, right? And down here we have humidity and we got salt air, which can, create a little rust on the outside of wrought iron. I took it home, and it sat in my carport for about 2.5 weeks. It just sat in front of my car. And I'm going, okay, here's what I need to do. There was rust on the glass on the top, a rust ring where somebody had put something on it that was metal, and the weather and water had made a ring, rust ring on the from the bottom of something on the glass. And I said, wow, it doesn't look that great. And then I talked to you, and you said, oh, all you got to do is put a little vinegar or orange juice on it, lemon juice, squeeze something acidic on it, natural, and then just wipe it off. And that's exactly what I did, and it was so beautiful. It came out so clear. And then I turned around. It took me, to make a long story short, about after 2.5 weeks of letting it sit there, I actually did the little things that I needed to do to get it back in order over about another 2 weeks. I wouldn't do it just every day. It wasn't a project I just wanted to finish. I said, I'll do that project. I'll just, do a little bit here. I went to get the rust stuff and rust spray, and I got some beautiful clear Rust-Oleum spray to put on it to keep it from rusting any further and to beautify it. And I went and got the brushes separately. I came home with a wire brush, and the wire brushes sat around for 3 days. And I'm like, okay, while I'm doing something else, all of a sudden I get an inclination that I'm going to walk outside and just kind of put a wire brush on that thing. So I literally stopped what I was doing, just went out, hit it with a wire brush. It took two visits to get everything. And then I just let it sit for another couple of days. Took it out, put the spray on it, and then I let that dry, and I washed it off. And then I brought it back, and a couple of days later I went out and put the Rust-Oleum on it, and then let it dry over the next 24 to 48 hours, and then brought it upstairs and put it all together, and there it is, right? So, I wasn't chastising myself for having a project and not doing it. I didn't set out this, once I get that up in my office, it's going to be beautiful, and I've got to go do everything now and drop everything. No, it's like this ebb and flow of life where it fits in, and then something else fits in, and then I go back to that, it fits in, and something else fits in. In the meantime, I'm collecting a bunch of stuff in my office that I'm going to eventually take to Goodwill or give to a nonprofit that's furnishing homes for people who've had their house burnt down, or they had flood damage, or they lost their furniture, which is just fine. And it's still sitting here on the floor a week and a half later. and I'll get to it. It's not, it's no skin off my back. It's just I think about something and I go do it, and it makes life so much easier. It's not stressful. I'm just enjoying the moments, and there's no rush to get it done. Nobody's saying, hey, how long are you going to let that sit there, right? I think that in our society today, I would be called lazy or a procrastinator, right? These are terms we come up with when we let something sit around and we get to it eventually. Some people not at all, but literally as a little project that buds in the mind, and then at some particular point I activate it and I go do it, and I have joy doing it because it's the right time to do it for me, not because somebody else said, oh, you got to clean that up, right? And so there's a gate project to repair. There's this thing. They're there. I will get to them when I feel the energy, the purpose and the excitement to go get it done, and that's when it gets done. And I'm okay with wonderful.
That. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting, Michael, because you're not saying I can go golfing once I finish that wrought iron piece. Because then it would make the joy that you had in doing that piece not so fun. It would become, and you would maybe not take as much time. I often do that with projects that I'm working on, and I will want to work on it, and then when I start to feel a little bit tired or distracted or whatever it is, I will walk away, because I've found that if I sit there, even with a painting, and I think, well, I need to finish this, I'm not happy with the results, as opposed to if I walked and took a walk in the park or whatever that I want to do instead. And I think that is really quite profound, because oftentimes we go into this, I don't know whether it's a fear state that we're ingrained, once you finish your vegetables, you can get up from dinner, young man, kind of a thing.
Really?
Because that kind of, it's like I have to prove that I've eaten or I've completed this task and prove myself worthy to move on to something else. But really, when we allow our true selves, our true colors to shine bright, you are so excited with the outcome. And that's exactly what it is. You took your time. You knew you wanted to take things in bite-sized chunks. There's no procrastination involved. It's enjoying the process. The whole process brought you joy. And it was allowing, I think it's a great metaphor, you were allowing it to become what it was authentically was in the very beginning. And that's sort of what that idea is, that when we allow ourselves to be open to follow our highest passion, as Bashar always says, that's when the magic can happen. But we do kind of get trapped in this loop. I think oftentimes the best metaphor is when you plant seeds in the garden. And you need to space the seeds and plant them at the right depth, and then you need to water them and allow them to germinate in the time that they need, because all seeds are different. Some grow quickly and others need more time. Some of them come up and some of your seeds won't. Sometimes the wildlife will come and eat your seedlings when they start to come up. You just never know. But when you allow something to grow, it's an expansive process. And when you're most fortunate, then that seedling can bloom, and then you can enjoy the flowers. And I think it's just the way that life is. And when you plant seeds, no matter where it is in your life, when you allow it to come from love, that's when the beauty unfolds. And so I love that. I love that you took your time with that piece.
Yeah. That's another element of this. What we're talking about today is another element of being happy in every moment. Really, that's to me, that's the best part about it. I'm happy in that moment. I'm experiencing joy in that moment, and it makes that moment special. Even though that moment, it's not. I haven't won the lottery. I'm talking about just enjoying the moments, because that's what life is. It's an endless string of moments, and it's a completely different tack, let's say. It's 180 degrees different from how I grew up, from what I was, taught to do, and the way that, again, in school they indoctrinate you to go do this. And I know parents that, okay, you've got to, we're going to do your homework, and then we're going to eat, and then you're going to do some more homework, and then you can actually be on the, you can watch a movie or sit down. And, they'd make family nights, the family activities, the core of the evening, so to speak. And when we're in, another country where you don't really have television, it might have been game night, right? It's game night, or it's a time for the family to get together and enjoy doing something as a family. That's great. So you're taught that, once you get that done, once you get all the stuff happen, all your chores out of the way, you can come and enjoy yourself. And if that's the way you run through life, then it's no wonder that you don't feel you're enough when you get older. And if you're still doing the same thing, if you haven't shifted off of that track to, and here's the other thing too. I mean, how are you going to do it if you don't know there's another way to live? You have to have the contrast, right? We're talking about a different way of living, a different way of moving through your day when you get up in the morning. That's what we're talking about, and it's a way that elicits more joy, that elicits greater happiness, that is more fun, and that doesn't involve the lower frequencies of angst and anxiety and frustration and fear and worry and just outright unhappiness, right? You can tend to beat yourself up if you live according to the once I get to. You can beat yourself up and shame yourself because you're either not moving fast enough, or you're not getting enough accomplished, or you just haven't gotten there within the time frame that you maybe set out for yourself because there were other issues involved. You see this happen all the time when someone says, hey, once I get this house built, I'm going to be so happy. But, there are permitting issues. There are people, the subs that don't do a good job. You got to go back and redo it. There are all kinds. Building a house is fraught with all kinds of issues. And if you don't enjoy the day-to-day action involved with that, then you're gonna really beat yourself up about it. And that's maybe the shaming of yourself, making yourself out to be a victim. All of that is involved in attempting in getting to the once I goal, whatever that is, the once I get there goal. And so that it can be fraught with those negative feelings and emotions. And this is what we're looking to transmute, are those to stay happy, stay positive. And we're just, I know I'm just giving one way of approaching it, but the goal is for you is, hey, just enjoy the moment. The happiness exists right here and now, right? It's here. Got to do is claim it.
Yep. And you and I had talked about expectations in a few episodes back, and I think a lot of times we hold on to these pressures of external expectations, things that are not ours. And perhaps it does go back to those fairy tales that were told as children. Once upon a time, and there's a princess and a prince, and then XYZ happens, and you may have the troll that doesn't let you cross the bridge, or whatever it is that's going to come in, but eventually you get through whatever, and then there is a happy ending. And we do have things that happen in our day, but when I speak to you in the morning and you've already made the choice, today's going to be amazing, you have decided that for yourself. You're not waiting to the end of your day to determine that Michael J. Russ's day was amazing. You start that day in that place. It's going to be an amazing day. When I go to sleep at night, I leave whatever is in the past is in the past. And although I may have some unfinished tasks or things that I need to complete, because quite frankly, I have a lot of things on my plate every day because I care for so many animals, and they are my responsibility. So there are things that I have to complete for their benefit. But there are things for myself. If I don't get in a detox bath or I don't eat dinner until maybe 11 o'clock at night or whatever it is, I'm okay with that because I have gone through my day with just allowing things to unfold however they're meant to unfold organically. And that creates a sense of peace for me. And I can look back and I have a big smile on my face at the end of the day that I've achieved all of these things. But I don't stay up all night thinking, oh, if only I would have gotten that done. It's all right. I can put it on the universe's side of the plate. I believe that was a teaching from Abraham from way, way back. Yeah. That sometimes we have too many things on our to-do list. And so sometimes we just have to put it on the universe's side of the plate and say, okay,
yeah,
you take care of this. I don't know how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't have to say, once I get those things done, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about something as you were talking when you said, have a good day, have a great day, how I wake up. And it made me think about something that is, maybe a trifle to some people. But when we are indoctrinated to say, have a great day, right? That's what we're indoctrinated to do. And the reason I say make it a great day is because have a great day, when you say that to somebody, what it means is that make sure it's a statement about your external world. Have a great day. Whatever happens in your external world as you write it, make sure that you have a great day at the end. I'm going like, I make it a great day. So which is an internal statement. I'm the one in control. Have a great day is like, well, I'll deal with whatever circumstances there are out there, and you make it, and you let the outer world, your external world, determine how you feel, whether it was or wasn't a good day. And it should never be that way, in my view, because it's your day.
It's interesting because I don't use the word have either. I say enjoy a wonderful day because have, to me, I feel like I'm in a cafeteria line in school, and I have my tray there, and it's like somebody's got this big scooper, and they're have some mashed potatoes, have a Salisbury steak, have some carrots, have. Here's your orange drink. Here's none of the things that I want on my plate. Thank you very much. I choose to and I love the word enjoy because it's enjoy, even though it's E-N. I understand it's not I-N, but for me, subconsciously, and I love make as well. Make, it's to create. You're actually inviting somebody to create their day. What could be greater than to have such a beautiful invitation?
Yeah, but enjoy your day is great. I like that because it means that no matter what happens out there in your external world, your internal world is solid. I'm going to enjoy this whatever happens. I'm enjoying everything no matter what happens. I'm going to make fun out of it. I'm going to like whatever it is. I'm going to love standing in line down at the DMV to get my license, even though it's 50 people long. I'm going to have a great time. You never know who's going to be before and after me. I talk to somebody, and I'll learn something new. I'll make a new friend. And when I actually get there, it's really interesting because I did get my license renewed. It was due this month for another 5 years, I think. And so, but I went early. I went last month. And when I walked through the door, there were probably 20 people. And it's not a really big place, but the city down here, Panama City Beach, had created this really cool system. You go in there, you put your phone number in, and you tap the button as to what you're there for. And it's set up in a U shape with like 4 people on one side of a wall, 2 on another, and then 2 other people on the other side of the wall. So it's a U. In the middle, they have chairs. And you sit down, and it's like you've taken when you put in your phone number, you're given a number. And you can see this board that shows a number, and it says helping D102 or A105, whatever. And the gal was sitting behind there. I said, oh, my gosh. She says, what is it? I said, this is going to take forever, isn't it? And she goes, oh, no, it'll go pretty fast. And I said, okay, shift my thinking real quick. I'm going to sit here and just enjoy myself for however long it takes, because I want to get this, I don't want to come back here. I'm not coming back here. This is going to happen today. And so I sat down, and it took about 10, 12 minutes, and all of a sudden, boom, Russ, D, whatever, go to this D window. I went over to the window. I sat down with the gal, And we handled everything. We talked about life and things going on. I gave her my card to my podcast, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, really?" And I said, "Yeah." And took my picture, my new photo that's not 5 years old. So it was a very fun experience, and I was out of there faster than I might have otherwise been out of there. But I noticed one thing: we make time longer than it should be by the negative emotions that we express about where we are, right? And if I had continued with oh, this is taking forever, oh, this is so long, I'm watching my watch, it's like watching water boil on a stove with a flame. Oh my gosh, how long is this going to take, right? I don't have all day, right? So there's these two schools of thought, which is I'm going in there and I want it to happen now, I want it to be over and leave, and another one is let's just enjoy the experience. I realized that when I walked in there, I needed to transform my thinking, because I'm only human. I don't walk into a place and sometimes where I have to sign up for something, or there's something that I need to re-register, and so I've got to do this thing, and it's just crowded as all get out. And in big cities, it can be even more crowded, right? So you can be there for hours attempting to get something done. The question is, how are you going to enjoy that time? What are you going to do during that time? What mindset are you going to have? Are you going to say, once I get out of here, I'm going to have a great time, but I've got to deal with this torture until I get there? Or are you going to say, all right, this is kind of cool. Let me people watch for a while. I'll people watch. Maybe I'll talk to somebody. Maybe I'll just chill out. Or maybe I'll put an earbud in and listen to, my own podcast, or Connect to Love, or whatever a book that I've gotten. It's all about how you're feeling, and the feelings you have, the moments add up. The moments add up to whether or not your day was amazing, whether you made it amazing, or did you make it a living hell. That's you can do that too. You can get down on yourself, and you can shame yourself for having made the choice you made, and then you can get there and you go, oh, you can complain and whine and make yourself out to be a victim of the place that's there. There's all kinds of different things that you can do in order to not experience an awesome day. But the flip side is so much better. Time goes faster. You feel better about yourself. You just let everything around you just go and realize, I'm the one in charge here. All right, okay, I'm in charge. So of how I feel, and I'm going to allow myself to feel amazing, regardless of what occurs in here. I'm not going to let this get too interfere with what I'm feeling, with the awesomeness that I'm creating for myself.
Right. I love it, Michael, and I love the fact that you made that conscious choice. You caught yourself and you recognized that you could create a different experience. And I think that that's exactly when we say, once I'm successful, once I'm loved, once I'm enough, once I'm healed, once all of these different things, that we keep ourselves from the love that we want to experience in life. You did not sit in that chair and compare yourself to somebody else and go, well, you know what, I got here before, and how come they're getting called? Not recognizing the fact that they may have a completely different reason to be there than you. And so I find when we engage in things like that, it's exhausting. We end up completely exhausted. But when we allow ourselves to anchor in, as you did, be from a place of love, I'm just going to trust that whatever time I'm going to get the nicest person that's here. Like maybe I wasn't meant to meet the other person. Maybe I was meant to have a great conversation. And my card that I'm extending to this individual, there may be something of value that can change their life. And then you have created an opening, and there's joy in that, and you feel expansion, and things unfolded naturally. It just, it flowed. It flowed, and there is a completely different energy when we create from love versus fear, or being in that space of, I've got to be here. And sometimes you see it in restaurants, and the same thing. Well, how come they got their food before I did?
Yeah, I know. Didn't I sit down first? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how many times?
Impatience. It's right. It reeks. The world reeks of impatience.
And that's what that once. I think that's that trap of that once. It's like parked in there. It's like, oh, once I get my meal, then I can get out of this restaurant instead of savoring it. I mean, it could be the most amazing experience. And because your food was delayed, somebody else might walk into the restaurant that you haven't seen in years, and then you have a chance to reconnect with them. Oh, what a beautiful gift.
Well, you can reconnect with your server, too. You can connect with your server. I do that all the time. We love it. We were out for Sandy's birthday last night at a restaurant, and we happen to know the manager. He's the one I text for a reservation, but I never knew who was going to serve us because we don't necessarily have a predisposed server that we like to choose, right? It's whatever. They do great training in there, and there's great people. They're very friendly. They're very loving, and they like what they really enjoy what they do. And so I look around the room, and this is a pretty high-end restaurant, pretty pricey, and I see people that aren't exactly happy. And I'm like, why aren't they happy? Why aren't they smiling? Why aren't they engaging with the person who's serving them? And it occurred to me, based on where we were, that a lot of people that come to the restaurant and live in that area are extremely successful. They have lots of money, and they're following the game plan of, I got a goal, and I just work towards that goal, and once I'm at that goal, I can go, I can treat myself to other things. Now, I'm just paraphrasing here because I don't know and I never talk to these people, but I'm just thinking to myself, I'm thinking, there's a lot of joy in there. That server's a really, really fun person. She's smiling. She's doing everything. And then there's the other people that'll come in and they'll light up the room with their family and their loved ones, or a couple that's celebrating something. And it's just, I go to a lot of really high-end restaurants, really expensive restaurants, because I like the food. I like the chefs. I enjoy the fresh ingredients and the creativity that goes into what's being made. And I just see what would, and it's not a judgment, it's a discernment from my perspective, is that I'm not seeing a lot of happy people, a lot of people that are not displaying happiness. I'm like, okay, so money can't buy you love, money can't buy you happiness. You're here on vacation in one of the most wonderful places with some of the most beautiful beaches in the United States and continental United States, and I'm wondering why you're not, what is the once here? Once we get through with this, we can go do that, or once we eat here, I can go home and go to sleep because I've been driving all day. And to me, it doesn't matter. If I've driven all day, that's okay. I'm going to enjoy all of it. And I've learned with enough people, good friends passing on early at 50 and 60 years of age that I had for years, and from my early 20s, that in teens, people who are no longer here anymore. And I'm like, we're all here. We get to enjoy this earthly plane and all of its delights, or we can see only disaster. It depends on what we're willing to see, and have the ability to see what we want. We have the choice to choose to experience every moment in a fabulous way, to put the most into it, to extract the most joy out of that moment that we possibly can, and fun. Not working at it, but just doing it. I could step outside, and touch the tree and enjoy it, or take the walk and listen to the owls in the evening, or look up at the stars and wonder. I could do all that. Or is it a chore to walk my dog? And I just want to get back, because once I get back, I can get back to my movie, or my TV show. I just think that choice, there's no question that I'm going to enjoy the walk, however long he decides to walk, because it's his walk, not my walk. I'm just going along for the wonderful ride. If he decides he wants to walk longer, we walk longer. If he wants to quit and go home, we quit and go home. And that's kind of my way of looking at my day as well. It's just, I've got some things perhaps in my mind that I think I might want to do. However, the thing that actually gets done is the thing that's going to bring me the most joy and fun that day. That's pretty much what's going to happen. And I guess I've gotten to a point in life where I can do that, because not everybody can. Except, is that correct or not? We all have choices. We can have fun. And as Carol Collins always says, find the joy, find the fun, find the love in everything you do. Because it's there, you just have to look for it. And once you focus on that and living from that point, the littlest thing can bring you joy, right? My little orchid sitting over here with fresh buds on it. I can stop doing what I'm doing and look at that plant and experience the joy in the unfolding of the two sets of buds that are coming off of the orchid. I'm wondering to myself, which color is that again? What's that flower going to look like? It's just wonderful to be in that space, for if only for a few moments, to experience it, and then I'll take that joy into the next thing that I do, which is what I encourage everyone to do. That's why you want joy and fun in life, because you want that energy to bleed into every other part of your life. And when you do, your relationships get more expansive, deeper, joyful, fun, because you're enjoying yourself. It's self-induced joy, love, excitement, and you can share it with the world. Everybody you're around, whether you know them or not. And that's the fun part. Yeah, and people notice it. They notice it. You're such an
I was
awesome
going to say,
couple.
Michael, too, it's freeing. It's freeing. And for me, I love the idea of freedom. Yeah. There is something incredibly freeing when you set down any expectations about once this happens. We don't need to carry that. And I think when we notice each and every one of us are wants, what are you postponing your happiness for? And I really appreciate you saying that, because there is only now. Sometimes we don't know about tomorrow. So we don't need to wait for permission. We don't need to delay some imagined future of until we arrive to that perfect being that we think that we need to be. And when we have that freedom, it allows us to experience life and celebrate who we are now. Not later, not someday, now. And allow yourself to grow from joy, because I can't think of anything better. Happy, happy, joy, joy, made famous by the cartoon characters Ren and Stimpy. I often think about that message, happy, happy, joy, joy. And I hope a lot of other people can tune into that feeling of boundless joy. I think life was not meant to begin once we become someone else. Maybe it begins the moment we realize that we've always been worthy about being here. We were never meant to have to be where we have to earn the right to exist or earn the right to be happy. And we don't have to prove our value. We are all enough. And I think that that's the really beautiful part of this conversation and so much of what you shared, because each one of us can shine brighter than we ever imagined just by making that conscious choice that I don't have to wait for once to happen before I allow myself to live fully and completely, and to be in love, and to be in joy. Enjoy, as you said, Michael. I love it.
So beautiful. Well said. I mean, literally, that's the truth. You sit around thinking about your day, the part of the day that you're awake, and did you make the most of it? Did you, from a perspective of joy and love, did you experience enough of that? Did you experience the joy and the love in the day? And once mentality, once I get this, once I do this mentality, literally takes you right out of the moment. You're not in the moment when you're thinking that way, because there is a lot of joy in the moment in what's going on and around you externally, and what can go on within you should you choose to live from that perspective. And we can't forget that this is all about the main thing, which is we're creating our reality based on our thinking. We're creating the day that we want based on what we say, because words have power, words have energy, and words have frequency. So when you say, once I get there, you're literally telling yourself, I'm not giving myself permission to be happy in this moment. I'm not giving and no matter what happens, I'm not giving myself permission to enjoy or have fun or be excited about anything until this thing is accomplished. And that is the way that your reality is going to play out. It'll mirror back to you that mentality. That's what your world will mirror back to you. And it will create situations and circumstances, the universe will, because that's what you've programmed it to do, is to make it challenging for you until you get to where you say you want to be. Once I get there, I'll be happy. But anybody that I've ever asked, so how did you feel when you got there? And they say, what? And how'd you feel about it? They can't come up with a good enough explanation of their feelings. It's all like, it was just a thing. They put all this weight on it. They put all this energy into the once I get there, right, to that fictitious place, because evidently that place was going to bring them such joy and such happiness, and they built it up and negated all the time that it took to get there. They just set that aside, all the joy, all the excitement for who they're with, right? I mean, it's their family, everybody's second to achieving the goal. And then the goal is, again, hollow. It's a hollow victory, and it doesn't make them feel the way that they thought it would make them feel, right? And maybe just along the way they sacrifice so much that they don't have the people in their lives anymore that were previously giving them joy before they set the once I get there in motion. There's all kinds of things that can happen, but being in the present, experiencing the joy and the fun in the present moment, being excited about what you're doing, making those choices, and understanding that you do have the ability to make that choice. And, let's face it, even if you're Nelson Mandela, you're in a 6x8 cell, he realized that he had massive control over what he was thinking. And his perceptions about his space were so important, because he could make it a living hell for himself, or he could make it an amazing opportunity to learn. And I think he read a lot of books, and he did a lot of thinking and about himself and his life and his family. And he was 27 years in that cell. He didn't make it the worst thing possible that could ever happen to him. And I have people saying, oh, it's the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Well, maybe, but you're not there. You're here. Are you making this the worst place possible for you, this moment here, by thinking about something that happened to somebody else? This is a society we live in. We live in a society that has that takes great joy in the drama of other people's lives, and bringing that drama to everyone around them, and making them live out somebody else's life when you've got one right here. You've got one life right here, and you can just enjoy the heck out of it. You don't have to beat yourself up or shame yourself. You can enjoy it, and you can, when you find yourself saying, once I, stop yourself and say, what am I enjoying in this moment? How am I positioning myself mentally in this moment? Where's the fun here? Where's the joy? What's going on here in this moment? Because this moment is all there is. It's all there is.
It's so true. That's so true. Thank you, Michael. It's just a beautiful way to really tie everything together, because I think so often we need permission. We think we need permission to be happy. And I love the way that you anchored that in it. We are all divinely enough. You always have been. I always have been. We are always each one of our audience members. You always will be. So stay in your light, stay in your truth, always stay connected to love, and, of course, peace out, and we'll connect next time. Thank you
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.